Over the last few weeks on the podcast, we have talked about your nervous system and how it works, building your safety foundation, and creating a toolbox of techniques that you can use in those hard moments. Now, applying and practicing these tools will help you transform in your relationships. But once you've practiced the basics, it's time to grow your capacity for the long run. And that's what today is all about. We're zooming out. We're looking at the big picture. We're talking about how to build stress resilience over time, not just managing the crisis moments, but actually expanding your window of tolerance so that you can handle more without falling apart. This is the long game. And if you're in it for the long game, let's dive in. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Seasons of Joy podcast. I am Jill Pack, and this is episode number 185, entitled Growing Your Capacity Over Time. This is the fourth and final episode in the Nervous System series, and I want to thank you for being here. Now, in the last 3 episodes, we've talked a lot about nervous system regulation in the moment. What do you do when you're activated in that very moment right now? These tools are essential. It's important to understand them because you need them. But today, we're talking about something different. I wanted the last episode of 2025 to be something that can help you move into 2026 feeling empowered. We're talking about building capacity over time so that you don't get activated as easily, so that when you do get activated, you can come back to your home base faster, so that your baseline itself gets higher and more stable. Think about it like this. In the first 3 episodes, number 182, 183, and 184, I teach you how to put out fires. But today, we're talking about how to become more fireproof. Both matter, both are important, but they're different kinds of work. The quick regulation tools help you in that hard moment. The long-term practices, however, change your nervous system over time. They help you build your capacity to handle whatever life throws at you. Remember, in episode 183, we talked about stress reduction versus stress resilience. This is something that I learned from one of my coaches, Leah Davidson. Stress reduction is about making the waves smaller, eliminating stressors where you can, and that is really important. If you're chronically overwhelmed, something needs to change. But stress resilience is about becoming a better swimmer. It's about building your capacity so that you can handle bigger waves when they come, because we all know they will come. You cannot control whether your adult child makes choices you agree with. You can't control whether your spouse has a bad day. You really can't control a lot of what life throws at you, but you can control how you prepare yourself. You can build your capacity. And that's what we're talking about today, how to become a better swimmer. But before we talk about growing your capacity, let's talk about where you're starting from. This is an important place to look at. Think about your nervous system on a scale from 1 to 10. 1 is complete shutdown, dorsal vagal collapse. You can't get out of bed. Everything feels impossible. And on the other end is 10, and this is full panic mode. Extreme activation, heart racing, can't breathe, completely overwhelmed. 5 is your regulated state, ventral vagal. You're grounded, you're present, you're able to think clearly and connect with others. So where is your baseline? Where do you spend most of your time? Maybe you're living most of your life at about a 7 or an 8. Not full panic, but constantly activated, always a little anxious, always a little on edge, always ready for the next thing to go wrong or shoe to drop. You might think that this is just who you are, believing you are just an anxious person. But it's not your personality. It's nervous system regulation. So just notice for a minute. Think about it. Where are you most of the time? Are you hovering around a 3, kind of shut down, going through the motions? Or are you at a 7 or an 8, always activated, never fully relaxed? The goal is to move the baseline closer to 5, to spend more of your time in that regulated state. And you do that through consistent practice over time. But the important thing about building resilience is to understand that you need the right amount of challenge. If we're going to grow your capacity, build your resilience, we need to have some challenge. But not too little, not too much, just the right amount. This is what is called the Goldilocks principle. Too little stress, you don't get to practice anything. There's no challenges, there's no growth. You stay comfortable. Too much stress, however, is you're overwhelmed. Your body goes into protection mode. There's no growth. You're just surviving. But when we have just the right amount of stress, we're challenged enough to grow, but not so overwhelmed that we shut down. This is where growth happens. I've often heard it as the growth zone. So the goal isn't to eliminate all stress. The goal is to find that sweet spot where you're challenged enough to practice your skills and build your capacity, but not so overwhelmed that you just collapse. And that sweet spot is different for everyone. We're all unique. What's just right for me might be too much or too little for you. You have to pay attention to your own system and find your own edge, that place where you feel stretched but not broken. Now, I love this metaphor, hill training. Every day, we are going to meet resistance, right? We're going to encounter hard things. It's inevitable. But when we meet that resistance, when we come to that hill, we have 3 choices. 1, we can turn around and do nothing. We avoid the challenge. We stay in our comfort zone. We do not climb the hill. Choice number 2, we stand at the base of the hill and we complain. We acknowledge the challenge. We know it's there, but we don't actually do anything about it. We just talk about how hard it is, how unfair it is, how we wish it wasn't there. And choice 3, we strategize or make a plan and then we climb. We can take breaks, we can rest, but we're actively moving forward. We're facing the challenge. And when we choose that third option, when we choose to climb, we're actively building our resilience and our tolerance. Maybe you have a relationship with one of your adult children that's challenging right now. Different worldviews, hard conversations. You could turn around and avoid them. Just stop having the hard conversations and not climb the hill. This is totally okay. You can stand at the base and complain. Talk about how hard it is, how unfair it is, how much it hurts, but never actually engage. Or you could strategize and climb. You can prepare yourself before conversations. You can practice your regulation tools. You can stay in a relationship even when it's uncomfortable. And you can take breaks when you need to, but you keep showing up. And every time you choose to climb, every time you choose to stay in the relationship while also staying regulated, you're building capacity. That's hill training. That's how you grow. Now, I don't want to pretend like there aren't relationships in our lives where this feels scary. You want to start where you are. Think of a relationship that you can do this in. Maybe there's a relationship you're not ready to hill climb in, right? Recognize that in yourself. But if there is one that you can begin doing this with, you can begin practicing and building your capacity. Again, last week we talked about those quick regulation tools. But now I want to talk about 10 examples of daily practices that build resilience over time. The first one is meditation. We all know meditation. We probably all tried it in some way. It's a little harder for me, I will be honest, but it's something that I am practicing. And research shows that 13 minutes of meditation is optimal. And the type of meditation that works best depends on your tendency. Let's say you're always in your head overthinking. You might want to try meditation that directs your attention outward, like focusing on sounds. If you're always focused externally, you might want to try meditation that directs inward, like a body scan. Start with just a few minutes if 13 feels too much. You meet yourself where you are. The second is meditative activities, and these are different from meditation It's anything that helps you feel fully present. Listening to music, really listening, puzzles, art, knitting, journaling, yoga, anything where you're focused on one thing and you're not multitasking. Number 3 is grounding techniques, like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. This brings you right in to the present moment. Number 4 is creative expression. Painting, writing, music, photography, anything that lets you express what's inside in a nonverbal way. Your nervous system doesn't just process through talking. Sometimes it needs other outlets. Number 5, connection. Real connection with safe people, not just surface conversation, actual connection where you feel seen and heard. Your nervous system co-regulates with other regulated nervous systems. Number 6, affection. Hugging someone you love, physical touch, petting an animal. This releases oxytocin, which helps you feel safe and connected. Number 7, laughter. Real laughter. Not polite chuckling, but that deep belly laugh. You know what I'm talking about. This is incredibly regulating. Number 8, crying. Don't hold back tears. Crying actually releases stress hormones. It's your body's way of completing the stress cycle. Number 9, nature. This is one of the most powerful and immediate ways to regulate. I think this is why I love it so much. Get outside every day if you can, even just for a few minutes. There's something about being around trees and open sky that settles your nervous system. And finally, number 10, fascia work. Your fascia is connective tissue throughout your whole body. And when you're chronically stressed, it gets tight. So foam rolling, massage, stretching, anything that works with your fascia can release stored tension. Now, these 10 activities aren't one-time fixes. They're daily practices that over time change your baseline. If you're ready, if you really want to build your resilience, there are some amplifiers you can use. And I will say that you want to feel safe when you're doing them. You want to feel ready to do these things. So you just want to really check in with yourself to see if this is something that feels safe and appropriate to you. But these activities or these amplifiers give you short bursts of acute stress followed by rest and recovery. And that's the important sequence, right? We're allowing stress, but then we're also following that with rest and recovery. It's like strength training. You stress the muscle, then you let it recover and it gets stronger. And there are a few ways you can do that. There's NSDR, non-sleep deep rest. This is like meditation, but more guided. There are scripts and apps that can walk you through it. It helps your nervous system deeply reset. Or there's HIIT, high intensity interval training. Short bursts of intense exercise followed by rest. This trains your system to go from activation to recovery efficiently. And then there's breath work. There's lots of varying practices around breath work, but the point is that you are intentionally stressing your system with that breathing, and then you're allowing for recovery. And finally, cold exposure. Like cold showers or ice baths, brief cold exposure followed by warming up trains your system's ability to handle stress and recover quickly. Now, I want you to understand that I'm not saying that you need to do all of these activities, but if you want to really build capacity, these can be powerful tools. Now, how do you know when you've actually completed the stress cycle? We've learned these things to build our capacity, but how do we know when we've completed a stress cycle? When we've moved through activation and come back to regulation, how do we know? Well, your body will tell you. You might notice things like your breathing has deepened and slowed down, your jaw has unclenched, your shoulders have dropped, your stomach has relaxed. You can think more clearly. You might yawn or sigh deeply. You might even feel emotional, like you need to cry. For me, I know I've completed the cycle when I can take a full deep breath without that tight feeling in my chest, when I can think about the stressful situation without immediately feeling activated again. Now, it's not that the problem is solved or gone away. It's that my nervous system has moved through the stress response and come back to my baseline where I feel grounded, present, able to think clearly, and connect with others. It's really important to understand that this is not a destination. This is a journey. You're not going to arrive at perfect nervous system regulation. You're not going to reach some point where you never get activated again. Life is going to keep happening. Your nervous system is going to keep responding. That's what it's designed to do. But what can change is how quickly you notice that you're activated, how many tools you have in your pocket that you can work with, how fast you can come back to your baseline, how wide your window of tolerance becomes, or how much capacity that you're building over time. Now, I've been practicing this work for a while now, and I still get activated. I still have moments where I say things I regret, or I shut down when I don't want to. But it happens less often. And when it does happen, I can recover faster. My baseline is higher and my window of tolerance is wider. That's what this work does. It doesn't make you perfect. It makes you more resilient. So let me bring this all together. You've learned how your nervous system works. You've built your safety foundation and you've found your anchor. You have tools for those hard moments. And now you understand how to build long-term resilience. This is such powerful information. This information can transform your relationships, your health, your life, your faith, but only if you practice it. You can't just know this intellectually. You have to live it daily, consistently. Some days you are going to remember to use your tools. Some days you'll forget completely. That is totally normal. Some practices will resonate with you. Others won't. That is okay. You are building your own toolbox. Some days you'll feel regulated and capable. Other days you'll feel like you're starting from scratch. That's the journey. Be patient with yourself. Be compassionate with yourself. This is hard work, and you're doing it. So that is the 4-part series on the nervous system. You have everything you need now to start transforming how you show up in your relationships. Here's my invitation for this week. Go back to episode 1 if you need to. Review the 3 states. Notice which one you're in throughout your day. Practice your safety anchor from episode 183 every single day. Make it a non-negotiable part of your routine. Use your tools from episode 184 when you need them. Pick your favorites and practice them. And if you're ready for the long game, if you're ready to start growing your capacity in 2026, incorporate some of the daily practices we talked about today. And remember, check in with yourself regularly. What's working? What's not? What do you want to try differently? This is your journey, and there is no timeline. There's no finish line. There's just practice and growth and learning about yourself. Now, if you've been working through this series and you're realizing you want more personalized support, someone to help you apply all of this to your specific relationships and challenges, that's exactly what I do in my one-on-one coaching. We work together to build your nervous system capacity so that you can transform your relationships from the inside out. You can find me at seasons-coaching.com or on Instagram, seasons_coaching. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for doing the work. Thank you for caring enough about your relationships to invest in understanding yourself better. You're not too late. You're not too broken. And transformation is always possible. Until next time, my friends, be kind to yourself. Keep practicing. Keep growing. Here's to building greater capacity in 2026.